You open your banking app. You do it the same way you do everything at 30, automatically, without thinking. The way you brush your teeth or lock the door or say, "I'm fine," when someone asks how you're doing. Your thumb knows the passcode before your brain does. The screen loads. You look at the number, $187, and payday is 6 days away. You close the app. You open it again like the number might change. It doesn't. It never does. You put your phone face down on the nightstand and stare at the ceiling for a minute. The ceiling doesn't have any answers either. You get up, you make coffee, you go to work, you come home, you do it again tomorrow. This is your life. And the terrifying part isn't the $187. The terrifying part is how normal it feels. Let's go back to the beginning. You're 18. You're sitting in a guidance counselor's office and she's got a brochure on her desk. College. The word hangs in the room like something sacred. Everyone around you is going. Your parents want you to go. The messaging is everywhere. Get the degree. The degree is the key. The degree unlocks the door to the life you're supposed to have. Nobody in that office is talking about the debt. Nobody is running the numbers out loud. Nobody is saying, "By the way, you're about to sign for $40,000 at 18 years old and you've never had a real job." You sign. Because that's what you do. You're 22. You graduate. You feel genuinely proud for about 3 weeks. Then the job search starts. You applied to 60 places. You heard back from 9. You interviewed at 4. You got one offer. $36,000 a year in a city that costs $1,800 a month to live in, even with a roommate. You take it because you don't have a choice. You take it and you tell yourself, this is just the starting point. This is just the floor. It only goes up from here. You move into a 2-bedroom with a guy from college. The apartment smells like the previous tenant's decisions. The heat comes on whenever it wants to. Your bedroom window doesn't fully close. None of it matters because you are 22 and you are finally doing it. You are an adult with a salary and a LinkedIn profile and a coffee order at the place near the office. You are not saving anything. But you tell yourself you'll start when things settle. Things don't settle. That's the first lesson nobody teaches you. Life doesn't reach a plateau where it gets easy and stable, and you finally have the bandwidth to be responsible. It just keeps moving. It keeps costing you. Something always needs money. Something always comes up. The settle-down moment you're waiting for doesn't exist. You just keep waiting for it while the years move past you. At 24, you get a raise, $43,000. You feel it for exactly 1 week. Then you do what every 24-year-old does with a raise. You upgrade your life to match it. You get your own apartment because you are tired of the roommate situation and you have earned your own space. The rent is $500 more a month than your half of the old place. You buy a couch. A real one, not a hand-me-down, not a Craigslist find, a real couch from a real store that costs $800, and you put it on a credit card because the card has a 0 interest period for 12 months, and you will absolutely pay it off before then. You pay $40 a month on it for 11 months, and then the interest kicks in. You're 25. Your student loans have been sitting in deferment, but the deferment ends, and now every month, $412 leaves your account before you even see it. It goes to a number that barely moves. You look up income-based repayment, you fill out the form, you qualify, the payment drops to $210 a month. The relief lasts until you realize the lower payment means you're barely touching the principal. The loan will outlive your next relationship, maybe the one after that too. You download a budgeting app. You enter all your income and expenses, and the app generates a little color-coded pie chart of your financial life. The chart is mostly red. You use the app for 2 weeks. Then you delete it, because looking at the chart every day feels like getting punched in the same bruise repeatedly, and at some point, you just stop pressing on it. You have $900 in savings. You think of it as an emergency fund. What it actually is a speed bump. A few $100 cushion between you and complete disaster. It gets drained every time life reminds you that it can always cost more than you planned for. Your car needs brakes. There goes $400. You have to fly home for a family thing. There goes $380. A medical bill arrives that you thought insurance covered, and it turns out insurance covered part of it, and you owe $290, and they'd like that in 30 days, please. Every time the account gets to $900, something pulls it back to $200. You push it back up. Something knocks it down. You push it up. It comes down. Push down. Push down. You are not building savings. You are playing a video game where the goal is to not go to zero. At 27, you get a better job, $58,000. You You feel genuinely hopeful for the first time in years. This is the number. This is where the breathing room starts. You sit down and you do the math, and on paper it looks real. After taxes, after the loan payment, after rent and groceries and utilities and the internet and the phone bill and the car insurance and gas, you have a few $100s left each month. A few $100s you could be saving. A few $100s that are going to change everything. Then you remember your car is 9 years old. Then your laptop dies and you need a laptop for work. Then your best friend gets married and you're in the wedding, and that's flights and a hotel and a suit and a gift, and somehow it costs you $1,400 over 3 months. Then your rent goes up at renewal. Not a lot, $90 a month. But that's $1,080 a year, and that $1,080 was the exact margin you had. Gone. Just like that. You're 28. You're tired, not sleepy tired. The other kind. The kind that gets in your bones. You've been doing the right things mostly. You've been showing up. You've been working. You haven't been reckless. You don't have a gambling problem. You don't blow money on insane things. You just live in a world that costs more than it used to and pays people like you less than it should, and you are tired of doing math on every single purchase. Tired of checking the account before you go to dinner. Tired of looking at a menu and ordering by price instead of what you actually want, so you stop. Not completely, not dramatically. You just quietly stop fighting so hard. You say yes to some things. The trip with your friends you've been turning down for 3 years, the nicer grocery store, the dinner out on a Tuesday for no reason other than you didn't want to cook. You are not living extravagantly, you are just living. But living costs money, and money is the one thing you still don't have enough of. And now, you're 30. You're at dinner. 6 people around the table. Someone mentions they just hit their first $50,000 in their brokerage account. Someone else is talking about maxing their Roth IRA for the 3rd year straight. A third person, same age as you, maybe younger, mentions they put a down payment on a place. The conversation moves on. People are laughing about something. You laugh too. You have no idea what you're laughing at. You go to the bathroom, you lock the door, you open your bank app, $187. You look at yourself in the mirror for a second. You look fine. You look like a completely normal 30-year-old. Nobody at that table would guess. Nobody ever guesses. That's the thing about this kind of broke. Doesn't look like anything. It wears the same clothes. It comes to the same dinners. It laughs at the same jokes. It is completely invisible and completely suffocating at the same time. You go back to the table. You order another drink. The drive home is quiet. You sit in your car outside your apartment for longer than you need to. You're not crying. You're not panicking. You're just sitting there doing the math you've been avoiding. If you have no savings at 30 and retirement is 35 years away and you need roughly $1.5 million to retire comfortably, you would need to save and invest around $1,000 a month starting right now to get close to that number. You currently have $187 and 6 days until payday. The math feels like a wall. But here's the thing about walls. You can either stare at them or you can start looking for the door. You go inside, you sit at your kitchen table. Not with Netflix on in the background, not scrolling your phone. You actually sit there and you look at your finances for the first time in a long time without flinching. You open your bank statements, 3 months of them. You look at every transaction and you see it. It's not one big thing. It's never one big thing. It's the subscriptions bleeding quietly every month. The gym you pay for and haven't been to since March. The app you signed up for during a free trial and forgot to cancel. The delivery fees you pay because the app defaults to delivery and you never switched it back. The coffee that you buy not because you love it, but because the morning feels impossible without it, and you haven't figured out another way to make the morning feel possible. The small, impulsive purchases that felt like nothing at the time and add up to $300 a month when you actually count them. You make a list, not a dramatic list, not a punishment, just an honest one. You cancel 4 things tonight, $83 a month, $996 a year. You call HR in the morning. Your company matches 401k contributions up to 3%, and you've had this job for 2 years, and you have been contributing 0%. You have been leaving free money on a table and walking past it every single day. You fix it, you set it to 3%. You won't even feel it in your paycheck. You will feel it in 30 years. You set up an automatic transfer, $75 from every paycheck to a high-yield savings account. Not because $75 is going to save you, but because the habit of saving is different from the amount you save, and right now you need to build the habit before you can build the number. You do not become financially secure overnight. That is not how this works. You do not post a transformation. You do not feel suddenly fixed. What you feel is slightly less like a person things are happening to and slightly more like a person making decisions. That feeling is small. It is not a solution, but it is a direction. And for the first time in a long time, you have one. You check your account in the morning, $187 payday in 5 days now. Same number, but you look at it differently, not with dread. Not with that low-level nausea that's been living in your chest for the better part of a decade. You look at it like a starting point, a genuinely terrible starting point, but a starting point. You put your phone down, you make your coffee at home, you go to work, and for the first time in a long time, the ceiling doesn't feel so low.